All right, Amy Jones Travel, welcome to the program. So we are talking to Amy Jones today, and you are a local travel agent, independent contractor right here in the Charlotte area. I believe you're out of Rock Hill, is that correct?
My home base is in Rock Hill, absolutely.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about your background. How long have you been a travel agent? How'd you get started with it?
Well, I think that I always wanted to be a travel agent growing up, and I actually went to a semester in college when I got out of high school and said, I want to be a travel agent. And they started throwing all these maps and geography codes and these weird black screens with green writing on there and these long codes, and I was like, not for me. So I jumped over to banking really quick. That was an easy transition for me. But then my love of travel personally really started coming out, where I was doing trips and cruises and starting to do Disney and different destinations, and turning around and saying and coming back, and people would say, Amy, where have you been? Where are you going next? And just became kind of a natural transition
So
to
you were
travel.
so you were going on these trips yourself. You were going on there, and were you sharing? Was this like before social media, or were you posting everything on Facebook, and everyone was like, "Wow, you're going on all these amazing trips"?
Are you really going to date us like that?
I know. Hey, I'm pre-social media too.
So yeah, so a lot
Just
of it
taking
was,
pictures with your disposable camera and mailing them to people. No.
don't judge. No, it was more just you'd be missing from a week at work, and where have you been? Oh, I went on a cruise and I went to these countries, or I went to Disney, or we spent time here at a beach, or discovered this. And it just becomes kind of a natural conversation, and people love to talk about travel.
Oh
So
yeah.
when I jumped into travel full time, it was around 2014, and we were really just kind of coming out of that nasty recession, and people were starting to travel again because they had more disposable income. So it was a really good time to learn a lot. Also, there was a lot of really great deals then, so people really, it was easy for people to travel. And just as you learn more and as you research trips for everyone, because I haven't been everywhere, but it's definitely on my list.
Mm-hmm.
When you're researching trips for someone else, you turn around and you say, oh gosh, I want to do that. And then you kind of start planning your own trip moving forward. And then you're like, oh, I've got to get back to planning this one because this is the one that supports my business.
Right.
And that was the natural transition. And now I've been to and really enjoy what I do in planning for others.
So, deals that my can offer to the audience today.
Absolutely. And this has been really popular with my clients, especially those flying internationally and, making several stops. Like maybe they're doing a cruise from Barcelona to Rome, and they want to spend a couple of days beforehand in Rome, a couple of days, afterwards in Italy, and they get to their destination and their luggage is gone.
Uh-oh.
They can't find it. So one of the things with all of my packages that include airfare, I do offer free lost baggage insurance for you. Now, this is lost baggage insurance that when you call and say it's lost, they immediately send you the money. And that way you can go out and get what you need. You're not having to fight with the airlines and say, okay, where is my bag? When is it coming? Okay, well, I'm moving, destinations here, there. So that's a big travel nightmare that obviously, as soon as that would happen, you would contact me as your advisor. But that peace of mind knowing that, okay, well, I'm at least going to be able to get what I need before I get on a cruise ship or before I change hotels. Now we're not giving up on your luggage, but we're still gonna find it for you. But the peace of mind to know that you can take care of that.
That's
And then of
awesome.
course, I also have a lot of different specials, throughout the year with different companies and different vendors that I work with based off of our sales and volume. And I'm able to go ahead and pass those on to my clients. And it's just a great opportunity.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. So, my family, we went on a cruise last year, right before COVID. So we got off the boat, and then like a month later, woo. So, but we used a travel agent, and it made it a whole lot easier. for the cruise at least to get our food and drink packages and to know what expeditions were going to be available and things like that. So that was our first experience using a travel agent. So where are there any areas that you specialize in?
So specializing pre-pandemic, I used to specialize in Europe, river cruises, ocean cruises, definitely the things that are going out of Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Of course, we have a cruise ship that's here 24/7 out of Charleston, South Carolina. So that's a real quick and easy cruise to get on and get out of town. Of course, it's not running right now. It's coming back. But I've also, during the pandemic, went ahead and transitioned a lot to all-inclusive resorts, which are about as close to cruising as you're going to get. So they have the activities, on the resort. They have your all-inclusive packages that include your food and your alcohol. It includes your activities for the most part. And then you're unpacking once and you're able to do what you want during the day. So you can do as little or as much, just like a cruise. And I've always liked cruising because it really introduces you to a destination. Where an all-inclusive, you're able to go off property and enjoy different excursions and, do some more in-depth or longer excursions to learn more about the country. And that's where a lot of people are doing travel now.
So what would you say? I'm sure you get some, interesting destination requests or requests for people while they're on the trips. What's one of your more interesting requests that you've got when planning a trip for someone?
Wow, great question. So that's one of those questions that you need to sit down and think about, right? I really try to look at each individual and work with each individual family, couple, group, whatever it may be, to say, what are you expecting out of this vacation? Are you wanting to sit and watch the ocean all day, or are you wanting to go hiking and visit waterfalls, or say Hawaii, make sure you're going to a luau, things like that. So I really tailor it down to each individual trip where people are going. I don't know that I've had anything really crazy off the wall as far as requests, but I'm always open to a new challenge, so throw them at me.
So do you do any like domestic travel planning, or is it pretty much people going to the Caribbean or going to Europe? Or I know you mentioned before off camera, you mentioned Hawaii. Do you do any travel planning in the lower 48 at all?
Yeah, Hawaii and Alaska, when especially when the cruise ships were going to Alaska. Hopefully they'll get there again soon. Those were kind of a main focus because as a travel advisor, when I start bundling things together, it starts making more sense for me and the clients as far as getting bundled prices, getting better rates on things than you could get alone, say on an online travel agency, that big E word or hot wire, those type things. So when it comes to one of your more well-known U.S. destinations. So I'm thinking about New Orleans, Las Vegas, if you're wanting to, obviously theme parks in Orlando, or even on the West Coast, if you want to do some theme parks there. Those are all really good, times to get me involved and say, hey, Amy, what do we have? And then, but if you're going to visit your aunt in Paducah, that might not, and you're looking for cheap airfare, I am not your girl. Just pro tip, the airlines pay zero commission, which is how I get paid. A lot like you, I get paid
Right.
when people travel. I get paid from the people that I'm selling their product. So one night in a hotel or just an airfare ticket, that's I can let you know very nicely
Where to go?
Here's some pointers, but here's some here's what I really do, and call me when you're ready to take these types of trips. Keep me in the loop.
So you're an independent contractor. You're a small business owner. So I guess one question is, how do people find you? Do you work mostly with people locally here in the Charlotte area, or do you, and I ask this question because we have, people who watch the show who maybe are local, but they have clientele all over the place. So how do people find you? How do you find people?
Sure, absolutely. One area where I feel like has been very successful for me is actually going out and networking with other small business owners, whether that's through the local chambers of commerce, whether that's BNI groups, or LinkedIn type events. I've done a lot of type vendor fairs. I just did one out in Indian Land, which was absolutely there was so much pent up demand for that, with live music and at least probably 100 vendors, both craft and people like me that were just saying, hey, travel is back, I'm a travel advisor, we still exist, yes, we're still here. So I find that a lot of my clientele does come from me meeting people personally, and that's been hard over the past year because we've all been locked up in our house. So I did try to do a lot more on social media. I've got all the major social media, the Facebook and the Instagram and LinkedIn, and try to do some Facebook events or lives every so often to kind of generate and let people know, hey, I'm here. But yeah, being a small business owner, I work out of my home, and I do 95% of what I do is over the phone or through email. But I am always willing to get out of the house because I don't know, I love to travel and try the latest and greatest coffee shop, or sit down at a brewery and just sit down and chat and talk about travel. So, it just really depends. A lot of referrals, but a lot come from people that I've met in the past that everybody knows a banker or a real estate agent. If you start a thread about a real estate agent, you're going to get 2,500 different answers.
Hopefully I'm one of them that's in there.
And you are always at the top, always at the top. But when you start talking about travel advisors, the people that do this for a living, which this is my only income. This is what I do as a small business owner. We're the people that day in, day out, we know what we're doing. And a lot like you, Jimmy, we also have like a broker in charge called a host agency. So we have someone that is looking over and doing contracts for group buying and things like that. So we do have group buying power. And if I'm just one person sitting out there and I have a problem with a vendor, they're not really going to take notice. But when there's 5,000 other agents in my host agency and I have a problem, they don't want to lose business from a potential of 5,000 agents.
So that's cool. So you have some backing, you have that support, but you're able to brand yourself independently. So that's pretty neat. So, well, you are, as an independent contractor, you are a small business. And I always ask the question to people, why is it so important to support small and local businesses and business owners?
Absolutely. I've been in the Rock Hill, South Charlotte, Indian Land, Waxhaw area for many years now, both personally and through business. And that's who I like to support, is our small business owners and the mom and pops. And I think, if anything, the pandemic really showed us that it is important, because I'm spending my money locally. I'm turning around, and anything that I earn as a travel advisor, I'm turning around and I'm spending that locally with other small businesses. And I think that's really just the backbone of the United States and how we survive. And I did not go out of business. I did not stop, answering the phone when the pandemic hit. There was a lot of .com sites that they had all of your money and they just closed shop. So I'm someone that's here before, during, and after your trip. So having that advocate on your side and knowing that you have my cell phone, this is my cell phone with my bad with my bad background. That is my cell phone. That is what rings. And then I have that additional support behind me as well for supporting small business. So very important. And when I was in banking, I worked in small business banking, for small businesses up to $10 million in sales, annual sales. So I understand the struggles of a small business, and I understand, why it's important to support them.
Absolutely. Well, Amy, is there anything else that you want to add? Any type of plug or travel or
Sure. Travel is opening. We're recording this, let's see, on May the 19th of
yeah,
2021. There's so many more things that are opening, and using a travel advisor, having someone as an advocate on your side is really important. The calls that I'm getting now are really turning around and educating my clients and potential clients to say, yes, you can travel to Hawaii. This is what you would need to do beforehand. Or yes, you can go to Jamaica. This is what you need to do while you're there. This is what you need to do beforehand. So even people that, are traveling state to state sometimes don't understand that, yes, you can fly from here to California without a COVID test or without being vaccinated. So there's a lot of misinformation in the media on a lot of topics, so I'll just leave it at that. But I help kind of sift through that and make sure that you are ready and prepared for what you're going to encounter, that when you get to the airport, you don't freak out and say, oh my gosh, where are my tickets? Or I didn't know I needed a test to travel, or what do you mean I needed a passport? So my biggest tips right now are use a travel advisor, use a travel advisor, use a travel advisor.
right?
But if you don't have a passport and you're interested in travel, even cruises, they're going out of a lot of foreign countries right now instead of the US. Get your passport either updated or get your application started, because there's going to be a backlog to that. And travel is booking up all the way until 2023 right now. So book early. I can do that with minimum deposits for you to lock in the pricing and the airfare in most cases. And then you have it ready and can kind of pay along as you go, and you're not surprised. But locking in those prices right now, that's the most important part.
You mentioned about needing to have a passport sometimes. What about the universal ID that some of the states are going to? Like in South Carolina, I believe you have to get a universal ID. Does that help with
Sure.
international travel or just domestic?
So the Real ID
Real
Act,
ID.
the Real ID Act, where they calling it the enhanced driver's license, where you get the star on your driver's license in South Carolina. Either your driver's license will say, enhanced ID, or it'll say not for, I think, federal usage or federal identification. That was supposed to go into effect, I think, last October. And what that was going to do is, if you went to the airport to fly state to state, that you needed to have that enhanced security through, and that's all working with TSA and, federal rules and regulations. They've backed that up, so you can still, with your unenhanced Real ID, I guess I could say without your Real ID, go ahead and travel, fly state to state right now, not a problem.
Okay.
Anytime you're leaving the country, you need to have a full passport. So you need the passport book, not a passport card. The card was good for if you were going to do border crossings between here and Canada by car, or if you were just cruising in and out of the same port, it helped. Now a lot of the cruise ships are moving to foreign ports. So avid cruisers and people that really love cruising,
Make sure you have that passport book, right?
yeah, you need the passport book. Absolutely. It's not that much more than the card. Plus the passport book will get you through TSA at the airport, whether you're traveling domestically or internationally. But right now you're still good with your driver's license without the Real ID, but that's always subject to change. There's a new date. I don't have that in my mind, but I can email that to you and maybe put it in some notes.
Sounds great. Well, Amy, I just want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to come on here and talk to me and to the audience and share your knowledge of travel. And it's great to hear that travel is back. We have been kind of pent up for the past year, so it's great to see things are starting to get somewhat back to normal and be able to get back out there and see the world and do some fun things.
The world misses you.
Yeah.
And travel misses you.
Yeah.
Book your next trip.
It's one of the joys of life, right? Going and seeing new places.
Yeah.
So
I saw something this morning, one of the advertisements of one of our vendors that said, you know, travel is the number one searched topic on the internet. People love travel, and I think you should travel as much as you can.
well, thanks again. Thanks for taking the time with me today. And thanks everyone who took the time to watch this video. If you're planning your next trip, certainly reach out to Amy Jones. All her contact information is right there on the screen. It's been there throughout the whole interview. And we'll see you on our next interview. So take care.